what's up guys? Welcome to today's video. Now, in just 5 short days, we will see iOS 13 hit beta stages. So, in today's video, we're gonna talk about some of the major rumors that have been spreading around as to what iOS 13 is going to include. Now, also with this video, to make it a little bit more interesting, I'm going to include some features that I really hope Apple takes some insight from, some jailbreak features and tweaks that are currently available on iOS 12. And as you'll see, these insights and these features line up pretty well with what is already in the works for the official iOS 13 features and builds. And stay tuned as we will be covering this year's WWDC as well as the initial release of iOS 13 next week. Now, taking a look at the history, Apple has always taken insight from jailbreaking and other third parties, taking a look at the latest and greatest cutting edge features and then adding it to their OS eventually once there's a demand for it and once they've figured out a simplistic and neat looking way to add it to their OS. Now, jailbreaking is one source, I'm guessing Android OS is yet another, and just other third parties on the market. Apparently this year, Luna Display might be in a run for its money because Apple is going to be adding a native way to mirror your Mac screen on your iPad, kind of like what Luna Display does now. Anyway, we'll get into more of that in a little bit, but like I said, as far as jailbreaking goes, Apple has taken insight literally since iOS 2 or 3. I mean, we're talking features like adding a wallpaper to your home screen, other things like SB settings now is the control center, by SMS where you can actually reply to messages without leaving apps, other features like backgrounding and multitasking, and even newer features like Nightshade that was originally Flux on jailbroken and macOS devices, the ability to move multiple icons on the home screen to a new page that was originally multi-icon mover, stacked notifications, or just a new way to handle notifications was around far before iOS 12, and nowadays the latest flagship iPhones as well as iPads are entirely gesture-based, which is basically what Activator achieved since, again, like iOS 3 or 4. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the top jailbreak features that I really hope Apple takes insight from this year and ports them over to stock iOS 13. So here's the list, but like I said, some of these first few features are pretty much confirmed at this point from the rumor mill and are going to officially be making it to iOS 13, like the famous dark mode. Pretty much all stock iOS apps are going to have a dark mode version of them to make them look better at night and on Apple's organic LED displays, and apparently this is going to be able to be toggled directly within the control center, kind of how like Noctis 12 does it now. Thank God this new feature is coming, a new volume HUD, but once again, these first two features are pretty much the first two things I change when I jailbreak my devices. Now, apparently, from the renders online and from what everyone's thinking, Apple is going to mimic something like this, which Meteor does in its current state, but I really hope Apple does something like this, which is Sonos 12, but with this tweak, it actually puts the volume HUD within the notch on the iPhone 10, 10s, 10s Max, and 10R. I think that looks super sweet and could fit right there perfectly. All right, well here's the first feature that really no one's talking about or there isn't any rumors about, so I don't know if it's going to be coming or not, but it's really something that I think Apple should do. Like I said, with dark mode, Apple made these incredible organic OLED displays, some of the best on the market, but their current iOS versions do not take advantage of the incredible technology that they created. Dark mode, sure, depending on how they do it, they could actually use their displays to kind of save battery life there. If the pixels actually aren't on, if you have a completely black display behind text and things like that, that is going to drastically improve battery life, but kind of what I'm referring to is something like an always-on display. Now, I actually found this new tweak called Lisa, and it kind of mimics what the Google Pixel 3 currently does. If you just tap on the lock screen, tap, it shows the clock, and if you double tap, then the normal lock screen comes up. And I really like how that works. You don't necessarily need the entire lock screen if you're just quickly checking the time, especially at night. But I just recently was made aware of this tweak thanks to one of you actually commenting on my last Top Tweaks video, so thank you so much for that. It is fantastic, absolutely one of the best OLED dark mode tweaks that I've found. So definitely check out Lisa if you guys haven't yet. It's fantastic. Music controls look great with it as well. And again, it's just a really neat way to take advantage of this OLED display. But not only with an always on display like with this tweak or Semperion or something like that, it'd be really cool if Apple implemented this with notifications. So we have things like short look, notification, message bubbles, and Hyperion, I think. All of these do it in an interesting way, but that'd be fantastic if Apple implemented that into stock iOS. So once again, no one's really talked about this, but it's something that we can kind of expect. New wallpapers. Now with this year, I really hope Apple doesn't give us just like one wallpaper per device. I hope they actually expand their wallpaper content library, because this year it was pretty lacking. There's only about 13 or 14 wallpapers you can actually choose from. There's only one new wallpaper per device, I guess 3 that are relatively similar with different color waves, but I really hope there's something new dynamic wallpapers. And with just the amount of resources that Apple has, it's surprising to me that every year we only get 1 or 2 new wallpapers. They remove some of the latest wallpapers or earliest wallpapers available, so you have less to choose from. I just want maybe like 10 new wallpapers instead of 3 to choose from. I don't know, is that too much to ask? Let me know down below. Anyways, let's move on to the next section. So this was rumored since iOS 12. If you guys recall, Apple kind of held off adding new features to iOS 12 to improve stability and performance. Well, now that they've done that, this year's the big year where we're going to see an overhaul of new features, not only for iPads, but iPhones and every iOS device as well. And one of the big things that was rumored last year that kind of disappeared was a new home screen or grid icon layout on the springboard. They could do something as simple as changing the amount of icons on the home screen, changing the grid style layout to something like a 3x8 versus a 4x7. One of my favorite things that I hope they do is they do something with the icon labels. My favorite tweak that I found for this is called Shy Labels, where the icon labels actually only appear when you're scrolling, but once you're done, they fade away and your device looks really neat and simplistic and more organized, I guess. And this is a bit of a throwback, but there was a tweak at one point where you could have the watchOS style springboard on iOS. That might get a little crazy, but that's one option. A new tweak that came out this year was called Home List, which basically mimics the new Apple Watch style list on iOS. There's also the option of an app drawer and keeping the home screen super simplistic, maybe actually having files. I saw one render for an iPad where they actually had a macOS style desktop on iPads where the files were actually on the home screen, and then there's an alternative way to access your applications. But overall, we really don't know what type of direction they're gonna go in, but just a redesign of the home screen would be fantastic. And I highly doubt this is gonna come to light, but it'd be really cool if Apple kind of either added some more translucency or added kind of a nice color splash to iOS. I really like how the widgets here are colored. Your notifications are also colored per application, and it's easier to distinguish them. The notifications also have a new look. All in all, just a couple changes there. Again, like I said earlier in this video, to have kind of OLED notifications where the background doesn't necessarily show up, make it quicker, simpler, and save battery life. So this was something surprising to me that actually is going to be coming to iOS as far as the rumor mill goes. You're going to be able to create an iMessage profile, kind of like the WhatsApp app currently, but you'll be able to add your own contact information, add a profile picture, so when you go to somebody else's phone or when somebody else texts you, then your photo that you chose will actually appear on their phone. So you no longer have to manually add photos to all of your contacts within your phone. I think that would be fantastic. Another thing kind of along these lines, it sounds like the Find My iPhone as well as Find My Friends app is also getting combined into one single app, and it'd be awesome to see if directly within iMessages, if you could see your friend's location when you're in their message thread or something like that. And the big reason for this redesign of the Find My iPhone and Find My Friends app is Apple is apparently creating kind of like a tile alternative. It's like a keychain beacon to find your keys or something like that that you can attach to different things around your house. We'll have to wait and see, but those rumors I thought were really interesting and definitely have some potential. to basically add more products to the Apple ecosystem. So again, sticking pretty closely to what Apple is probably going to change, there is probably going to be new animations along with that kind of home screen redesign. Now, one thing that is confirmed is there's going to be a new animation when you enter multitasking. Somehow that's going to change. Again, we really don't have any details of exactly how, but extending upon that idea, here's some things I really think Apple should do. This new tweak called Gusto, I really think Apple should do something like this. I love that it combines the control center and the multitasking pane into one. Once again, it makes it so much easier to access the control center. Also, within the control center, there's a lot of things that Apple needs to work on here. It needs to be redesigned. There needs to be an easier way to access it. I love the color splash that tweaks like Magma add, where you can create custom colors for different toggles. You can add your own toggles here. And better CCXI, this tweak entirely redesigns the control center. I would really love if Apple did something like this, where it's just a little bit more simplistic. You have some platters like the music platter and weather platter that are bigger, but then some are smaller, like the connectivity toggles. And then very lastly, it'd be cool if Apple added paging directly within the control center, where you could have a second page of control center toggles, basically. Anyway, these are just some jailbreak tweaks out there that have revolutionized what the control center looks like, and I really hope Apple takes a look at what's going on here, because there's some pretty cool stuff happening in the works. So let's take a break and talk about iPads for just a second now. Like I said earlier in this video, one feature that could be coming to iOS 13 is the ability to mirror your Macintosh computer screen to your iPad or add it as an extended display natively within iOS. And this would be absolutely fantastic. I really haven't seen a jailbreak tweak that does this successfully. Like I said though, there are some third-party alternatives like Luna Display that do this, that really are gonna have a hard time competing with a stock iOS feature after iOS 13 is released. But as far as this goes, some major features that Apple absolutely needs is just a way to make the iPad more of a pro user device or more computer-like. They need a better way to manage files than the Files app. They need it directly on the springboard or on the home screen. They need a way to access or manage large files or large downloads directly within Safari. Something needs to happen there, otherwise the iPad is never going to be a computer replacement. Now, as far as jailbreak tweaks goes here, the best thing I could think of, one of my favorite tweaks is on the iPhone. They've ported the iPad style dock to the iPhone, where not only can you add more applications on your dock, but the recently used applications also appear to the far right. And furthermore, the continuity applications, if you're on the Messages app on your computer or on your iPad, then it shows up to the far left on the iPhone as well too. The very last feature I wanted to talk about in this video, I highly doubt we're gonna see, but I really hope Apple does something like this in the future, and that's the ability to lock down specific applications with Face ID or Touch ID for that matter. BioProtect XS has done this for years with Touch ID. It was recently updated on iOS 12 for Face ID devices. Even the latest iPhone XS and XS Max and XR and the 2018 iPad Pros can now do this, where you don't necessarily need Face ID enabled on the lock screen, but to access specific applications like the Messages app will prompt you to then authenticate it with Face ID. Anyway guys, like I said, definitely stay tuned. We are going to be covering the entire 2019 WWDC, so definitely look forward to coverage on that. Before you go, definitely like, comment, and subscribe. Again, let me know what your favorite new feature of iOS 13 is going to be. What are you guys most looking forward to? Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video, but until next time, this is Tony, signing out.